I'm Gaz, and this is Let's Play Caves of Cud. This is a post-apocalyptic roguelike game, and this is going to be kind of a filler series for when I'm recording other things because it's pretty simple to play. Well, it's simple to play, but it's certainly not an easy game. This is very much a classic roguelike. As far as post-apocalyptic theme would go, would say this is more like Gamma World as opposed to Fallout. It's a bit more sci-fi fantasy-ish. It's pretty cool though. Unlike a traditional roguelike game, which is completely randomly generated, this one actually has sort of a set world map with locations that are in places, but each of those locations, once you get into them, or get into the region, are randomly generated. So it's kind of interesting in that sense that it has a history, has a story, there is a main quest line and all that. It's a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and get into it. I am by no means an expert at this game. I've really only been playing it for the past couple days. I've read a few things online, sort of taken some advice, but really I've just been playing for fun, and I've come up with a character build that I think is enjoyable. So let's get into that. I should mention that this is the Steam version of the game. The game has actually been in development for years and years and years, and you might have seen at the title screen there that it said it is in beta. And I don't normally play early access games or games that are in beta because I like to showcase finished games, but this is an exception mostly because I doubt it will ever get finished, such as it is. So anyway, here we are at the character creation screen. We have the ability to be a mutant or a true kin. The true kin are like pure, unmutated humans that have been hiding out in arcologies since the apocalypse. And apparently the true kin are supposed to be kind of easy mode because they get high starting attributes and all these things that you see here on the screen. I played one, tried it out. I didn't like it, actually. I thought it was a little bit harder, mostly because the mutations actually give you huge advantages, and so I will be playing as a mutated human. So, first thing I'm going to do is bump up all of my attributes to neutral, so I don't have any negative things going on there. And the character I'm going to build, and there are many different builds out there and suggested builds, that all of which are pretty cool. I mean, there's one I read about the ability to fly and just sort of being this overlord, like the Zerg overlord, where you can control minions and have them fight for you and stuff, and you just sort of fly around and no one can touch you. And there's all sorts of cool stuff. But the build I'm going to go for is the scavenger type. So kind of mixed in with ranged weaponry. So you can see over there on the right, I'll let you read it. Each of the abilities is, of course, attached to various things. We're going to want to pump up agility and probably ego. At least a little bit. Ego is going to give me an extra boost to the mental mutations that I'm going to require, which are actually very important for what I want to do. I'm going to bump up agility as well. This is going to help me with guns. I'm only going to bring it up to 18 though, because later I'll be able to bring it up a little bit more. I'm going to do strength because there's a lot of hand-to-hand combat, and that is useful. I'm also going to do intelligence. Intelligence gives me extra skill points, I believe, or it affects my skill points anyway, so that's useful. Every level, it helps me with that. It also helps my ability to examine artifacts. Now, I don't believe I'm going to need that, because I will have a skill that allows me to read the artifacts. Let's get into my mutations next. There are many mutations. The ones that I like to go with are night vision, which means I can go through the caves and all that without torches, and it only costs 1 point. Another one that I've considered is thick fur, because it gives me heat and cold resistance, but early on I didn't really find a use for that. There are fire ants kind of early on, but not early, so I'm putting that point to sort towards something else. Photosynthetic skin could also be useful, because this means you don't need food, but you do have to have some time outdoors. And so if you're down in a dungeon and you're starving, well, you gotta run back upstairs. Regeneration could be useful, but it's way too many points, so hopefully I'll get that later on. You do get extra mutations through time, which is pretty cool, and that's what kind of makes it like Gamma World. So hopefully I can get something else later on. But what else I wanted, and what's really important for the kind of character I'm going to build, is psychometry. So basically, this allows me to identify artifacts, but once they're identified, it allows me to read them and figure out their build plan, which means that I don't need blueprints, I just need the object in my hand and suddenly I can build it, which is awesome. It also allows me to go through security doors once we get into fortresses and that sort of thing, which have lots of good high-tech goodies in them, and you can just walk through the doors. So it's an amazing ability, and I definitely recommend it. Another one is time dilation. This is going to basically slow down all enemies around me, allowing me to either wail on them, which helps against tough enemies, or if it's just completely overwhelming, I can hit this and run like the dickens. So it's good for early game survivability. I will be taking that. We also have defects that I can take that give me points back. Some that don't seem too bad are Evil Twin, which I'm not sure how frequent, but it does have a chance of spawning, I guess, an evil version of myself that I will have to fight, and that might, I've never seen this, so I don't really know, but it might be equipped with what I'm currently equipped with, and so I don't necessarily want to face that if I've got some high-powered stuff. Another one was, what was it? Oh, spontaneous combustion. So this gives you a small chance to erupt into flames, but if you carry around some water, and you can have just waste water. In this game, water is very important because it's not only what you need to survive, it can also be used for a currency. But you can get undrinkable water, like salt water or whatever, and use that to put yourself out. So it might not be too bad, it might just be a pain. I'm not really sure what the small chance is, how frequent you erupt into flames, and it could be kind of annoying when you're running through a cave and then suddenly you catch fire and you go a few steps before you realize you're on fire and you take damage and you could possibly die, especially if you are running. So I'm not going to take any of these. This one is also not too bad, I've heard, because if you're constantly running away once you take a lot of damage, then you don't have to worry about not being able to see the number of hit points you got, but I kind of like to have that, because if you're standing there toe-to-toe and you've only got 2 hit points left, but you know you can do it, I like to be able to do that. So, another one that at least when I was first trying the game, and dying many, many times, was Mental Mirror, and this allows you to reflect mental attacks back on the attackers. Early on, at least really early on, you don't face that, although about the same time as the fur would come in handy, I've also come up against cultists that have psychic attacks, so hopefully I can pick that up later. But what I do want to get instead is Force Wall. So this allows me to create a wall of force which can contain enemies, but I can shoot through it. So again, it's early survivability. I can drop down the wall, block off a passageway and run like hell, or I can circle some enemies and just shoot them through it. So I'm going to go with that. So those are my mutations. Now we get to pick the class or cast or whatever this is called. You can see over there on the right, they do different things to your stats, and they also give you different skills and starting equipment. For the kind of character I want, Tinker would be nice, because it allows me to identify things, disassemble, and build artifacts, but what I actually want is Arconaut, because this increases my agility, which will give me better chances to shoot things. It also gives me short blade expertise. I've found that, at least early on, I kind of just tend to use whatever, but maybe I will use short blade expertise at some point. Really, I like using powerful things. It's just the kind of character this is supposed to be sort of an agile, roguelike, dodge everything, don't take damage kind of character, but it's hard. I found more survivability just by picking up the heavy armor and the heavy weapons and just going toe-to-toe, which kind of, it wastes a few things, but I guess that's fine. Maybe this time around I will try a dodge-based build. We'll find out. But anyway, what's also cool is that you start with random junk and artifacts, and since I have psychometry and the gadget inspector, I can identify them immediately, which means I might get, I'll probably get grenades, actually. That tends to be what you find immediately are grenades. But it's cool. So, I'll take Arconaut, and here we are. Time to build Gaz. Now, Being a roguelike, this is a permadeath game. However, I have turned that off for this series, and I've allowed loading and saving because it's possible I will die first time off screen. I might just run into one of these damn pumas that just chase me down and, kill me, and that's not fun. That's not fun to watch. It's not fun to play. You probably don't want to see me go through several episodes and then die and then have to start over. So I'm going to turn off permadeath. We'll do the saving and loading, and it'll be more like a traditional role-playing game. Here we go. On the 27th of Siman Ut, you arrive at the oasis hamlet of Joppa, along the far rim of Mograyi, the great salt desert. All around you, moisture farmers tend to groves of Iridian water vine. There are huts wrought from rock salt and brine stalk. On the horizon, Cud's jungles strangle chrome steeples and rusted archways to the earth. Further and beyond, the fabled spindle rises above the fray and pierces the cloud-ribboned sky. Okay, so the first thing we do is talk to people and get goodies. Mehmet, live and drink, friend. May you find shade in Joppa. What can you tell me about Joppa? You would be wise to speak with Elder Irudad. Look for his hut to the north. I'm in search of work. Some critters are eating our water vine. Farouk claims he saw one slinking around a vine patch. Ugly little thing, he says, pale white, 8 legs, and ear-splitting whine. I noticed a bit of red dirt in the water vine pool, the same we find in the soil at a nearby cave to the north we call Red Rock. Travel to Red Rock and kill as many of these critters as you can. Bring back the corpse of one, too. Elder Irudad will reward your efforts. I will do as you ask. You have received a new quest. Okay. So, this is another guy here. We can't really talk to him, but he is a zealot. A zealot of the 6-day stilt. The machine commands you exercise robots and bring their sacred husks to the 6-day stilt. We can look at him. He's a zealot of the 6-day stilt. He preaches the chromaic gospel of the mechanimists. Precious saliva flies from his cracked lips, but he is too wrapped in the music of his words to notice. So sometimes this guy is hostile for no reason that I can find, and it's interesting because sometimes as well, Mehmet will just die. I have no idea what causes that, if it's just some funky little thing, but you don't want Mehmet to die because he gives you one of your first early quests. It's not the main quest line, I don't think, though. Mehmet, years of desert have taken their toll on his body, but he commands your ear with his voice like few other men, and you wonder what sovereignty he might have come to were he not born a moisture farmer. We've also got this guy up here, Warden Ulrag. Big Ulrag shifts his weight between his hind and forelegs. He shakes dander off the chipped surface of the great curling horns that splay from his temples. One hand holds a purring blade. The other, lame and frostbitten, reminds us that while Mother Nature may bestow splendid gifts upon her children, she is still sister to cruelty. So all of these guys you can see down there at the bottom, you can see their temperament towards you. This guy's neutral, as well as their difficulty. He is impossible. He's also in perfect health. I think everyone here is impossible, so if we try to fight them, we will lose. Let's talk to him. Warden Ulrag. Ain't they wishing the heart keep pumping? Move along if they do. If you say so. Let's go in here and talk to the Elder. Let's see him first. Elder Irudad, a hunched back ancient, wrapped in a black robe. His smile is warm. Protruding from his back is a stalk hidden under a veil. The stalk forks into 2 hands with eyes in their palms, and immediately you know why men follow Irudad. He is hated by mysterious strangers and disliked by unshelled reptiles. Okay, talk to him. Live and drink, wayfarer. Welcome to the oasis of Joppa. Here you will find shade and victual, along with other provisions to help you better scour the rust caves for treasure. Above all else, you may drink of our fresh water and quench your thirst. I don't find any fresh water in this town. I mean, there might be some around, but I've only found that once. Most of it's salt water. What can you tell me about Joppa? Joppa is an oasis hamlet nestled between the eastern reaches of the Great Salt Pans and the jungles of Cud. We are a community of water vine farmers. These groves lie along some of the few tracts of land tame enough to grow water vine. What can you tell me about Cud? Cud is a strange and terrifying mesa to the northeast. Her tainted rivers breed life in all its motley forms. Her poisoned jungles shelter priceless relics of a forgotten past. But that is just the half of it, for Cud's most precious treasures, and her most hideous children, lie within the innumerable chrome caverns beneath the scarlet loam. To ply those silver hollows, a spry adventurer's dream, The years have wizened me beyond such foolish ambitions, but you be not deterred so. My thanks, Elder. Live and drink. Okay, so surprisingly, he does not actually give me a quest. Okay, so I can pick up another one, but for right now, I actually want to go explore some huts. This is a hut that I am going to commandeer later on and put my shit in. Some of these, however, have treasure, and the first thing we do is close the door, because if they find you digging through their treasure, they will come and kill you. So, let's open this chest. Being a scavenger, we're going to take everything. A weird artifact. Fantastic. I hope it's something good. It's probably a grenade. So, let's go into this one. Check through here. Cloth robe. Kind of useless stuff. Sometimes you find really awesome stuff. Sometimes you find a lot of nothing. It's always random. Got a lot of trade goods, though. Oh, and he went in there for no reason. Okay. Here we are in yet another one. This is a tam dromad merchant, a stoic, long-necked man-camel merchant. He's tough, but not impossible. Welcome, human. What do you desire? What kind of creature are you? I am Dromad, human, a salt strider. Well, I don't want anything from him except to trade, so let's open the trade tab, and he is the town's main merchant. There's another one you can trade with, but he has different stuff. So, right away I see some steel boots, but let's look at this here. So you see the diamond, that is the armor value, and the circle is the dodge value. So, the heavier the armor, obviously, the bigger penalty to your ability to dodge, but of course with enough armor you don't have to dodge. So if I'm going to go for the agile type character, I don't see anything he has that I want. I guess no penalties is fine. Leather armor would be good. Really, though, I mean, at any point, I think it's just better to take what you can find, at least early on. What I do see here, though, for ammo is lead slugs, and I'm hoping he actually has a weapon for that. Yes, he's got a musket, which kind of sucks, because it's a single load weapon, so you can shoot, and then you have to spend a turn to reload and all that. The dots there mean that this can be disassembled into different bits. I do not have the disassemble skill. That is something I'm going to get as soon as I can, because you can then use those bits to make new things. This fractured microchip, it's just scrap. You can also disassemble it. Okay, so he's got some bandages. He's got a lot of food. He's got a weird artifact. That's another thing that I have. It's probably different, though. But as soon as I identify it, we'll find out what it is. But it also costs a hell of a lot. It's like 47, and I don't have a lot of that stuff. We're going to have to wait, really, to trade until I come back from the first dungeon. But for now, I just wanted to see what he had. Actually, I do need some arrows. How much would it cost for all of your arrows? 1.3. Can I take that? Well, I mean, yes, I can take that, actually. I have night vision. I don't need these torches. That is worth... Holy crap. Really? That's worth 5.5 already? Okay, let's lower that. Okay, 1.3, 1.3. This should be an even trade, and I will get much needed arrows. Eventually, I would like to find a gun, for obvious reasons, but I think I will always want to keep a secondary weapon, because the guns can, first of all, run out of ammo, but they can also rust and be destroyed, so that's not good. And we'll want to keep that bow. So let's try and trade 3 torches for the arrows. And I don't know why. Why do I have to give this? Why do I have to give that? That makes no sense. What about this? Is he going to give me something here now? Trade complete. Sometimes the merchants just screw you over, and I don't understand the mechanics there. It was an even trade, and I owed him nothing. Sometimes, though, when you overtrade, they will give you water, and you can see that's the yellow number down there at the bottom. That is the water value that he has, and if you undertrade, you have to pony up your own drams of water. That should not have had to happen, but it did. So anyway, let's actually open this up and check this out. So I can examine it first of all, and you can see there that I can also read its early history with psychometry. By doing that, I will find out how to make it, whatever it is. Let's examine it. It's an acid grenade. Okay, let's read it. Now I know how to make it. Okay, it's unfortunate I only have the one, because it prevents me kind of from doing the next quest. Anyway, let's go into my equipment and find out what I can take and remove. So, that pocketed vest, you see, adds 1 to my dodge value. Cloth robe, on the other hand, is armor value. The pocketed vest also comes with increased carrying capacity, so for now I'll take it, I guess. Don't have anything there, don't have anything I can put there. I can take that out and replace it with a second bronze dagger. Short bow is what I'm going to have for now. Nothing for my hands, nothing for my feet. I've got a stun grenade. Let's read that too, which for some reason unequips it, but I want to read it so I know how to make it. Stun grenades and acid grenades. Acid grenade actually might be doing some damage, but the stun grenade just stuns them. And I don't have... okay, force wall is what I've got. There is an ability that allows me to sort of push out and stun everybody, and that is something that I would also like to have. Hopefully I will get it. So I can't disassemble the scrap. The scrap over there is taking up carrying weight. When you disassemble it, it goes into some magical dimensional pocket and doesn't weigh anything. So that will be very useful for me to have. So, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and spend these grenades on getting this first quest. And I'm doing this because this guy, let's look at him. Argive, an old man with sand and soot in his beard. Innumerable baubles and curios clutter his workshop, shaded from the sun-seer by a sheet of metal pitched upon the roof of his hut. One of Argive's bushy eyebrows is perpetually cocked, though whether that's owed to an insatiable curiosity or forehead mutation is unknown. This guy will give me a couple quests for some trinkets that I happen to have, and it'll be enough to level me up, so I think it's worth spending their grenades on. The first dungeon shouldn't be terribly difficult, and we'll probably find another grenade that's more useful. I think I can also put that other dagger that I have in my thrown weapon, so if worse comes to worse, I can toss a dagger. Obviously not as good as a grenade. Anyway, let's talk to him. Tensile strength of Reblon, but lacking in dynamite. Oh, I didn't notice you there. It's because I was ignoring you. Okay, unexpected deviation. Must you disturb me? What are you, some sort of treasure hunter? At the very least, make yourself useful and bring me a knick-knack from one of the caves. I may reward you. Where can I find such a cave? There are caves everywhere, you dolt. This is Cud. Try the rust wells, just east of here. I will return with your knick-knack. I've received it, and I've also finished it, because of those grenades. So, here's your knick-knack. You can have the acid grenade. We have to give them both. 75 XP, yay! It appears you may be useful after all. Now go fetch me another. If I must. I've received it and finished it. Here's your knick-knack. You finished it, yay! Level 2! Worth it. Only got 3 hit points, but 82 skill points. I don't think that's enough to buy what I want, but I get 1 mutation point, which is not going to be spendable now because I've got the ego bonus, but whatever, it's worth it. It's totally worth it. Good, good. Quite impressive, treasure hunter. Maybe you're fit to poke around my workshop here. I've been wanting another apprentice. So unfortunate what happened to Scruff, what with the disembowelment and all. Take a seat there, all right? Now let me explain. I'm on the cusp of a grand discovery. When I'm done assembling the weird wire conduit, you'll be able to speak to anyone from here to Caiaphas. First, though, I'm going to need some copper wire. As much as you can find. At least 200 feet. You should be able to scavenge enough from the rust wells in nearby caves. As you say, I'll go fetch the wire. Yay! Now, what we can also do is talk to him and trade. So, these data disks are basically blueprints for the various things that they show. I don't need this, necessarily. All I really need is to have the object in my hand, and I can learn this stuff on my own. However, there are some things here that might be good. What is Skulk, for example? Skulk, a slender metal tube, delivers tonics directly. Okay, so I don't know what Skulk does. I'd have to build this, I guess, to find out what Skulk does. Or I could just look it up on the wiki, because I have the internet. There's a Gaslight Chris, which is hugely expensive, a flashbang, an empty injector, which might be nice, because then I can learn how to make injectors myself. And then he's also got a bunch of scrap that we can turn into components. And so, yeah, those colored dots there that are not colorblind friendly, you can see are what will be disassembled, the different types of bits that will be disassembled. So this data disk has got the 4, requires, no, I think it provides a lot. If I build the Gaslight Chris and then disassemble it, it provides a lot of stuff. I don't know. Anyway, that, I could buy a bunch of this stuff, but I don't want to do that just yet. What I could do, though, is trade. How many vine wafers can I get for this cloth robe? Not enough. Not nearly enough. Vine wafers are wafers. They're not actually very filling. They're like crackers. So you go through a lot of them very quickly, and that is not cool. So we're gonna actually just have to fill up. Now hopefully you'll give me a fair trade. Trade complete! Yay! Okay, so at least I've got a little bit more meat. Or food, rather. The canned mystery meat is not going to last very long at all. So, I guess I can just go through, poking through here. These are more empty huts. I guess maybe the farmers live there, but I don't believe they actually go into them at any point in time. So, I will be commandeering one. So I'll be putting chests in here and then keeping trade goods and other heavy things that I don't want to keep on my person in a hut. And we'll just come back and forth. So, anyway, I know we didn't accomplish anything this episode, but we're ready now, at least, to move on to the first dungeon. So I'll end this one here, and I'll see you then.